we're gonna get going right into it this week, guys, because we're doing a mock draft for the first round of the NFL draft, which is happening next week. So we want to let you guys know who we think is going to go in the first round. Be GMs for about an hour here and get through it. So um, let's kick this off. Let's have some fun. How you guys feeling? Do you guys feel ready? Do you guys have your GM hats on, or you feel like you're going to make some organizations better today?
Yeah, hopefully.
Ready is a relative term. I'm gonna do the best I can do, but we'll see how it goes.
And like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'll give the little disclaimer here too. Like, outside of like the early first round, I'll just be kind of let's just roll with it and find out what we got while we're there.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's
I'm
what
going
it's
to
all
be
about.
honest. I'm going to burn the rest of the AFC to the ground. Like everybody's getting, yeah. If I come across the Colts, Jaguars, or Texans, they're drafting punters. That's how it goes. Spoiler alert, but with pride. So,
Shawn, you have to be a GM. No one is requiring you to be a good one. So
Yeah.
bad GMs do exist, so it's okay.
absolutely.
All right,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
kick this
Hey,
off.
I'm here.
Okay.
I will say I'm here, so you'll be the second worst GM. So there you go. You already have that covered. The bar is so low.
All right. Here we go. We got everyone's draft order. Let's get right into it with the first pick. I have the first pick. Of course, it's my Carolina Panthers. I am just going to go ahead and pick the guys that I think they're leaning towards based on all the recent reports. Um, Bryce Young canceling, the rest of his pre-draft visits. He's only visited the Panthers and the Texans, so I think Carolina is going to take him here. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with his ability to, hold up in the league body wise. But I think Bryce Young, for what he lacks in size, he definitely makes up for in his ability to get the ball out quickly, make decisions, his mobility, his accuracy. He's a great, great prospect. Outside of the height and the frame, but I think the Panthers moved up to number one to take Bryce Young, and I'm going to make the pick. The Panthers will take Bryce Young with the number one pick.
Okay.
Yay!
Yeah, first one down. So I know it's not going to get too crazy here, but so the second pick with the Texans, I really think they step in and grab C.J. Stroud. So, I personally don't want my Lions trading up front of these QBs, but I think that's a good fit for Houston. I think that he'll be able to develop more, maybe even a little more mentally once he gets in the pros and has a little more experience in the pros. So, Texans are selecting C.J. Stroud with a second pick.
I will say real quick, I think it's interesting that we're getting a lot of reports about CJ Stroud, like skipping the Manning camp and like all these like in the S2 tests. I think some people are trying to get some teams to pass on him, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's all a smokescreen with him. Like, I think the teams want him. And same thing with Bryce Young, the fluctuation. People know who they want. So,
100%.
Yeah, I feel like this has kind of been the draft of smoke screens for sure. Starting with the Panthers getting the number one pick and then being like, oh, we might trade it. You never know. So
Yeah.
it's just been weird.
yeah.
All right, Sean's on the clock with the Cardinals.
All right, so this is where it really gets interesting, right? Because we do see smoke screens. I mean, I think Bryce Young's going to be the Panthers guy. I do think there's legitimate fire there with the Texans going with Will Anderson because they got that 12th pick. They can play around with it. And I think that the Texans are smart to actually pass on this year's QB class because they have the inside track to Drake May or Caleb Williams next year. But here's where it's going to get interesting. So we're GMs of multiple teams here. So I actually, if I'm correct, I believe I'm the GM of both the Raiders and the Cardinals. So what I'm going to
Yes, sir.
I'm going to make the first trade of the draft. Now, if anybody else wants to step in, go ahead. But the offer that I have out from the Raiders is their first round picks, which would be pick 7 in this year's draft, their third round pick, which would be pick 70 overall, their second round pick in 2024, a 2024 fourth rounder, and then a 2025 second rounder as well. So I think that may be a bit of an overpay, but I do think that the Raiders make that type of move, especially if Anthony Richardson is on the clock. So I'm just putting it all out there. If anybody wants to beat that offer, that's fine. But with the Cardinals' third selection, I'm going to trade it to the Raiders again for the Raiders' seventh overall pick, their 70th overall pick in the 2023 draft, a second and a fourth in the 2024 draft, and the second in the 2025 draft. And 3, 2, 1. I'm picking Anthony Richardson for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Awesome. We got a lot done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, real quick, you watched. I mean, you as an SEC fan watched a lot of Anthony Richardson. Just like quickly, Sean, like how do you feel about him as a prospect?
I think there's a lot to work with there. I think it's going to take time. And a team like the Raiders, who have had a revolving door at quarterback in the past. I know that they had Derek Carr. I was getting them mixed up with others, so forgive me. But they're coming off Derek Carr. As a matter of fact, let me change it up. Before Derek Carr, they had a bit of revolving door at times at quarterback. Derek Carr just never seemed to be the guy that they wanted to be. The Raiders always want to be this marquee franchise, but they've got to have a quarterback first to be that. I thought Derek Carr was actually very talented, very good there. They know how stability is, but they also know that they want it to be higher. So they take a chance on Anthony Richardson when they've already paid Jimmy Garoppolo to be there. They've got him for at least the next 3 years, but it's on a year-by-year deal. So you've got the infrastructure there for Anthony Richardson to learn the fundamentals of the position. That's what should allow for him to get the ceiling there. I'm not necessarily saying he's a top 5 quarterback in 3 years. I do think he could become franchise material, especially with Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels there.
Awesome. Well, now Bobby's on the clock with the Colts at number 4. The top 3 quarterbacks are already off the board. Bobby, what are the Indianapolis Colts going to do here?
Well, thankfully, this trade was made because I wasn't big on Anthony Richardson at the spot. So, considering that option's gone, I feel like I get a much, much better player here. And with the number 4 pick in this fake NFL draft, the Indianapolis Colts are going to select Will Anderson out of Alabama. I feel like, in my opinion, this is the best player at this position in the draft right now, where we are. To me, I feel like picking a Will Levis, I don't see that superstar potential in the same way that these top 3 guys can be. I don't even know if Anthony Richardson is in that same class of player. So I feel really good about this. I think the Colts get a very, very solid player, great edge rusher, someone who can be just a perennial Pro Bowler, absolute difference maker on defense. They do have to solve that quarterback issue, of course, but this at this point, this is not the draft for it if this trade did happen. Colts punting on the quarterback race for now.
And
like it.
Yeah, and I'll actually add to that. I actually think that this is I know it's not talked about a lot, but I think that this would be a very underrated, smart move for the Colts because, if you don't have that top 3 or 4 talented QB, you've got to have the infrastructure around a quarterback that you basically want a game manager who doesn't make mistakes. And Will Anderson is the type of piece that's just as important. I won't say just as important. Will Anderson is the type of guy that top defenses rely on to be at a Super Bowl level to be able to win you opportunities. We talk about Tom Brady when he won it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, he was important, but it was Shaq Barrett in that pass rush defense that was just as good. You're getting one of the best pass rushers we've seen in a while. So when it comes to the Colts, I actually think if 3 quarterbacks go first, Anderson will be the pick. And I'll be honest, I'll be much scared of the Colts as a Titans fan than I would if they picked Will Levis at this spot.
Yeah, 100%. That's a really good pick, Bobby. All right, we're moving on to the 5th pick in the draft with the Seattle Seahawks. You know what? This is tough because I thought Will Anderson might fall to me here, and I think that would make Pete Carroll do backflips at his mid 70s or however old he is now. But I think I'm gonna take a guy that is definitely talent wise maybe worthy of this pick, but a lot of people are worried about the off the field stuff. But I'm going to take Jalen Carter here because I think Pete Carroll has never been shy or never been afraid of taking guys with off the field issues. He wants the best players. He wants to. He's a defensive coach. He really is a guy that wants to build a good defense. You had Geno Smith, who had a great season last year. I think he believes that he could get another good season at a Geno, and figure out the quarterback later on down the road. And I think he is the type of guy that's definitely. Pete Carroll's the type of coach that definitely is willing to take a risk on Jalen Carter if the talent is there, and a lot of people believe that it is. So I think the Seahawks shock everyone here and take Jalen Carter with the fifth pick.
Yeah, just like we talked about with like Stu's last week, it's like, yeah, the Seahawks. I wish the Lions were in that fifth spot, but I'm gonna be honest here. I feel like Will Anderson is like a Dan Campbell guy, and it really feels like the way they've spoke on him and talked about him. I mean, I have no idea what they're really gonna do. It's kind of like exciting for once in my life because it seems like they're competent, but if I think that if Will Anderson is at that fourth pick, that they're going to trade up for it. They got a lot of stock in this draft. They have a lot of movement they can do. And originally it was going to be like that third pick. I thought they were going to trade for because I thought Will would go at number 3, but I would say they would trade. Obviously, like give them number 6, and then probably our 18 pick, and then we could take. Let's see, what does the Colts have? Probably pick 35 overall in the second round, and then trade just like that. I'm not really sure. I was really planning on trading with that third one, but it's kind of thrown me off here.
So, are you proposing that trade, or are you just gonna pick? Hey, what's up? It's the Weekenders,
and thanks for tuning in.
Make sure to like and subscribe to see more Multiplicity Media content, like the thing you just watched.
Like with your pick.
Yeah, no, I want to propose a trade. So
okay. So Bobby, your rebuttal?
Yeah.
Denied. I like Will Anderson.
Dang it. Okay.
Look, we got so lucky at putting the Colts hat back on. We got so lucky to have him drop there that, I'm not getting rid of him. I like him.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Way to make it dramatic, Bobby. Jeez.
Okay, well, I think that they're going to be building up in this defense in this draft. So I think at this point, probably going to sweep, if they can, sweep up Witherspoon. So that's what I'm taking. Devin Witherspoon.
Okay, awesome.
And I think that's one of the more underrated storylines of this whole draft. To Lexi's point, you've got Max. Me and you have talked about it before. Last year, two of the biggest surprises in the NFC were both Seattle as well as Detroit. And a big reason why was because of, the unexpected success that they had. Detroit was looking at this draft as being when they'll get their quarterback, but they wound up having it fall right in their lap. And Jared Goff, Geno Smith's the guy in Seattle. But now you've got Seattle and Detroit both with 2 first-round picks in this draft. They could really beef up their defense, and they could really, really put together a good nucleus to be perennial playoff teams. So it's going to be really exciting to see the duos that Detroit and Seattle get in this draft. Speaking of building up the defense, I believe that Arizona definitely feels good about the fact that they got a good haul for the third pick overall. And I think with the 7th pick, they're going to go with who they probably feel is the best defender left on the board, and that's Christian Gonzalez, quarterback out of Oregon. Arizona has, experienced a lot of really good secondary talents. Patrick Peterson, Buda Baker, I know that's kind of a sore subject right now because he's requesting a trade. But I think with the haul of draft picks that they got, plus also arguably still being able to get the top corner in this draft, I definitely think they're happy with that. So Christian Gonzalez is my pick at 7.
Nice. Awesome. We're moving right along to Bobby with the Dirty Birds at number 8.
All right. I'm a big fan of the edge in this draft. I feel like there are some really, really good players here. And for the number 8th pick in the fake draft, the Atlanta Falcons are going to select Miles Murphy out of Clemson. It just feels like a natural fit. Beef up the defense some. Obviously, Clemson is very close to Atlanta, so that's like a little bit of a fun regional twist on it. And yeah, I think that just helps the Falcons out quite a bit.
All right, so I've got the Bears at number 9. I'm in a tough spot because we've seen sort of a run on edge rushers now, and it's a spot that Chicago kind of needs because they were dead last in sacks last year. So I really am thinking about like Tyree Wilson or Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, but um, I really think something else that was very apparent last year is that they've had trouble protecting Justin Fields, and so um, I really like Peter Skronowski. Sorry if I'm butchering that from Northwestern. Gonna grab him just to help beef up the offensive line. Obviously, with the trade back, they're showing that they're invested in Justin Fields as a quarterback moving forward. So with the 9th pick, you get a tackle at good value. I think this isn't like an elite class of defensive players. So you could probably get an edge rusher a little bit later on, but yeah, I'm taking Peter Skronowski with the 9th pick for the Bears.
Okay. So, all right, Eagles have the 10th pick. So they're kind of sitting pretty in this. They've got a lot built up. They can get that defensive line going or the offensive line, but I think they're going to go defense with this. And preferably like on the tackle that Kalijah Cansey out of Pittsburgh.